Good day, everyone. Welcome to another edition of the Monday Night Wars. This is week 70, February 17th, 1997. 75th episode of Nitro, but the 70th week they've gone head-to-head with Raw. Nitro beats Raw for the 32nd week in a row. The scores were 2.9 to 2.1. 2.1 for Raw, 2.9 for Nitro. So through the 70 weeks, Nitro has won 51 times. WWF has won 17 times, and they have 2 draws. This is the Nitro with the 2.9 rating. For the first hour, it's the living legend Larry Zbyszko with Tony Schiavone. Second hour, Mike Tenay and Bobby the Brain Heenan will join Tony Schiavone, assuming no NWO break it up. The show begins with Nitro Pyro coming from the Florida State Fairgrounds in Tampa Bay, Florida. We just get a shot of the NWO coming out of the limo, and one of their men is down in the corner. It's not clear who's down, but one of the men is being helped into an ambulance. It turns out to be Big Bubba Rogers, but we'll find that out in just a bit. They then shoot straight to Mysterio's entrance as Super Callow is already in the ring waiting for him. The WWF is doing a bunch of these starts with something happening right from the get-go, so Nitro is starting to do that too. They always seem to copy the other people. They start 3 minutes before the hour starts, and Raw is beginning lately with something right from the get-go. So Nitro is trying to combat that with a big curveball and something that makes you want to see what's going on, who's attacking here, who's this NWO member down, and that's what obviously they're going for. Mysterio opens the show against Super Callow. Ray Jr. begins with a hammerlock into an armbar. Super Callow counters with a leg sweep and a leg lock. Ray kicks out, and Callow with a scoop, the headlock, springboard into a dropkick, and then a springboard missile dropkick to Ray Jr., then a springboard senton into the guardrail. Unbelievable action. In the back, Michael Wall Street is taken to the ambulance and making sure Big Bubba Rogers, who is now visible, is going to be okay in the ambulance as they go away. Callow flips back and drops with the elbow to Ray when we're back to the action. Mysterio springboards in off the top rope with a Hurricane Rana and wins like that. So similar to the Fall Brawl 96 finish where he springboarded off 2 rings. This one he springboards off just 1 ropes into a Hurricane Rana. And Mysterio beats Callow at 6 minutes. I rated this match 2 stars and 3/4. It was good. Steve McMichael took on Hugh Morris. Quite the contrast in their first match. It's a big power man match rather than this luchador match that we just saw. Steve McMichael is very amped up by Hugh Morris, looking to get it on in the opposite fashion in a big man match. Morris with a leg lock and a big pick with a single leg lock. McMichael got body slammed, moonsault off the top, but Steve McMichael lifted up and Morris crashed into his knee and the briefcase that Deborah brought out. Mongo wins at 421. 241, 421. Almost dyslexic there. A star and a half for that match. They talk about Piper going into Superbrawl 97 and how he's been over the top and how he's staying at Alcatraz, The Rock in San Francisco, where the Superbrawl 7 is. This is the go-home show to Superbrawl 97. So they have Roddy Piper. They're going to have clips from him from The Rock, Alcatraz, later in the show. Dean Malenko defends his Cruiserweight title against a guy named Robbie Brookside. We get the man of 1,000 holds in a really good match here. Malenko talks about Six on the microphone, saying that his father might have trained him, but he's very much not like him, and he's going to get his title back. It's his title, but Six is the one carrying it. Because he stole the title and he's wearing it all the time, but it's actually in possession of Malenko. He's defending the Cruiserweight title right now even, but the title's not at the ringside because Six has it. This match was really good. I rated it 2 stars and 3/4 as well. Malenko wins at 254. Very impressive mat match. Both men with good technical wrestling. Outsiders come out to talk about Schiavone and Zbyszko gossiping. Kevin Nash and Scott Hall are challenged by Zbyszko to go. The fans chant for Larry Zbyszko. Larry chants in the crowd. Hall takes off his shirt and says, "Let's go right now" at the podium. But Zbyszko was held back by Schiavone. And, Kevin Nash drops a tape at the booth and says, "Play this tape later." And he says, if we don't admit, then you can't quit. So that's some line that we'll get later when the tape is played. Public Enemy take on the amazing French Canadians. The fans dance to the Public Enemy's entrance. A suicide plancha through the table like always, and the Public Enemy win at 4:46, rated at a star. They show the faces of fear in the crowd. Stevie Ray and Harlem Heat are in the crowd as well, watching this tag match because there'll be a triangle tag match at Superbrawl. Mean Gene interviews DDP and says, "Did you take out Big Bubba Rogers backstage earlier?" And DDP says he had nothing to do with it. And Mean Gene did one of those, "Are you telling me that you had nothing to do with this, DDP?" That's what Mean Gene said. Prince Aoki takes on Lord Steven Regal for the TV title. And of all the upsets, this is a big upset. Prince Aoki, where they don't know much about, ends up defeating Regal for the TV title. So Regal's long television title run is over. Prince Aoki wins with an inside cradle out of nowhere at 3:32 to become the new world's TV champion. And Regal is shocked as the place pop. I give the match a star and a quarter. Hour 2 begins. The pyro goes off. They show a clip of Big Bubba Rogers being sent out. It's interesting because they're looking for a hero for WCW, and I thought of the analogy: Batman is to Gotham what Sting is to WCW. You know, a big vigilante looking out for it, but doesn't say much and stays in the shadows. I think that's what made the Sting character work so well. Next up, we have the ref match: Randy Anderson, who's fighting cancer and fighting for his job against Nick Patrick. Randy Anderson gets a big pop, and then he uses sort of like knucks around his knuckles to beat Nick Patrick, and Bischoff says, "What are you doing? You're still fired." So Anderson won the match, but he's still fired because he used this. So, and the referee who counted the 3 is also fired for counting the 3. So Bischoff just doing his, man, you just want to punch this guy, Bischoff. So he's doing a good job as a heel. Chris Benoit took on Roadblock. Benoit's always in there with big guys. He works good against big guys. This is no exception. Benoit wins at 2:30 at Roadblock after the diving headbutt, star in 3/4. They play the Outsiders tape that they left, and it shows them on a road rage with the Steiners, and it shows the Steiners car flip, and it shows that the NWO might have been responsible for that. And Shivani's like, "Thanks for the tape. We have criminal allegations against you now." Kevin Sullivan takes on Doc Dean. Sullivan wins at 3:20. It's a squash match. Eddie Guerrero defends the title against Conan for the U.S. title. This should be good. One title already changed hands. This was a decent match. A star in 3/4. Eddie Guerrero retains the title after a frog splash. After they two mat wrestle, and they did a good job. 4 Horsemen segment. Flair goes, "Mean Gene." And Deborah talks about Jeff Jarrett some more in beauty pageants. Benoit threatens Sullivan and says they're going to fight to the death. Isn't that the truth? The Giant then takes Top Gun and Johnny Swinger in a 2-on-1 handicap match, and he takes out both with the choke slam. And then he spray paints Hall on one of the guys, and then he spray paints Nash on the other. And Luger comes in with a doctor's note saying he can wrestle at Superbrawl. Only Bischoff comes to the front stage and says, "No, you're not wrestling at Superbrawl. That the time limit was broken. It was supposed to be last week where you said that you could wrestle or not." So Luger's late, and Luger's like, "You can't prevent me from coming down to San Francisco." And Bischoff's like, "Is that a threat?" And then Luger and Giant chased off Bischoff, and Bischoff ran away. Piper then cuts an epic promo from Alcatraz inside the Rock, inside a jail cell on Hollywood Hogan for his world title match this Sunday at Superbrawl. Then Jericho and Jeff Jarrett wrestle in the main event, and Deborah comes out and helps Jeff Jarrett, even though McMichael got jealous, and McMichael hits Jarrett with the briefcase while the ref was talking to Deborah and was distracted, and Jericho wins because of that. So I rated that a star in 3/4. After the match, Hogan comes down and comes out to the biggest icon in wrestling from the NWO entrance. They added that to the NWO theme. Obviously, on a play from Piper and Hogan, and for who's the biggest icon. Hogan does his usual posing, but Savage and Sting come to the front, and Savage and Sting stand there, but they don't do anything. So I rated this Nitro overall a 6 out of 10. The Savage Sting DDP stuff is still compelling. The NWO keep doing the regular things, and Superbrawl 97 had some decent build to it. So it made you pumped up to see the pay-per-view. It did its job. Everybody hit on all cylinders. It's just there was nothing truly great on this episode outside the TV title switch and a couple of good cruiserweight matches. But that's the norm for Nitro in 1997. All right, so I'll see you on the next review. I'm Brett Mix for this Nitro review, and I'll see you on the next one. I'm out.